All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Milen. We also have Terry with us today, and we're with the Plano Public Library. I want to thank you all for joining us for STEAM Skills website development. Your microphones have been muted and videos turned off for this program. Please note that if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. We will be monitoring the chat and bring up questions to the presenter's attention. The presenters and chat moderators will get to as many questions as we can during the program, and all relevant links for the program today will be posted into the chat. Today, we have the honor of introducing the Society of Women Engineers. SWE motivates women to achieve full potential in careers as engineers and leaders, expands the image of the engineering profession as a positive force in improving the quality of life, and demonstrates the value of diversity. SWE will present the STEAM Skills 5-week course on website development. Today, you will continue learning about website development with Neha and Maha. Housekeeping reminders that we would like to share with everyone. This program is being recorded and will be made available on the Plano Public Library YouTube page for later viewing. Soliciting business or selling merchandise during the library virtual program is prohibited. And lastly, please be considerate of our presenters and one another throughout the program. Any inappropriate behavior will result in your removal from today's program. I will now hand it over to our presenters.
Are we starting the program now?
Yes, Neha, are you all ready to begin?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and share our slides. All right, so hi, everyone. My name is Neha, and my partner is Maha, and both of us are here today from SWE UTD. And we're here to teach you more about web development. So I know that some of you might be new here today, but this is week 4 of our series. And basically this whole time we've been working on building a website from scratch using these 2 languages called HTML and CSS. And they're fairly easy to learn, so don't be intimidated by those words. But basically what we've been doing is we're building up a website that is like an e-commerce, like shopping website. And basically it's like one of those websites where like you can buy clothing from, except ours doesn't actually function to buy clothing. It just kind of like looks like that. It just has that type of layout. So last time what we did was we worked on building out the homepage. So basically we had like one page and it said like, hey, welcome to our website. Here's the links to the other site, other like pages on our site. And now we're going to be continuing on to build like this clothing page. So I'm going to show you what the clothing page looks like. And this is what it looks like. All right, so are some of you guys like new here? Like, is it your first time attending like this web dev series? Like, just say yes in the chat. If it's like, okay. Okay. Yeah, but let me know if anyone has like not attended any part of this series at all. This is your first time looking at anything related to coding websites or anything like that, and I can help you get set up. Since we are on week 4, if anybody has not like, so what we have had previously is we set up this website called REPL. We went to this website called Replit, and this is where we've been writing all of our code, and we've been developing all of this for the past like 4 weeks, just like adding on to all of this code. And let me run it. So this is basically what we created in total. So if anyone is not here, just if anybody is not like, if anybody doesn't have this, let me know.
Would you be able to drop the link in the chat for those who might not have it?
I can just like walk through the setup really quickly.
Sure.
So basically what you would do is you would go to this website called Replit, and here's the link to that. And then you would go over to create, click this like plus sign, and then you would find this HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Yeah, you just click the plus sign and click that HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And then you would give your project a name. I've just been naming it like web dev tutorial right here. And then you would click create REPL. So that's what you would do. And then you would just have like a blank page. So let me just walk through that real quick. Web dev tutorial. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna paste the entire code in the chat, the entire code from the past 3 weeks, and that way you'll be caught up. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so this is gonna be our like blank page, right? Just to like start with. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link for this thing called assets, and that's basically like this folder where you're just gonna download all the pictures that are gonna show up on our website. So any like clothing pictures, anything like that, it's all gonna come from this folder. So if we go over here to assets, we can click download. Scroll down and click download. And then once we click download, we can just head over to our, I guess, Replit thing. And then we can click like upload or add. Yeah, upload folder, and then you're gonna find it in your like directory, wherever it is. And then it'll show up here. Oh, coding language selection. Okay, so you're gonna go over and you're gonna click HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It looks like this. So if you go here under the plus sign, it's this. Okay, cool. And then you're gonna give it a name because it's gonna make a random name for you. So just give it a nice name like web dev tutorial or something. I've already made 3 of them, but and then you're just gonna click create REPL. And then you're gonna have that like blank screen like I showed you. Like if you click run, I don't think anything, yeah, just hello world will show up, that's it. So this document type is called an HTML file. An HTML file is where you write like all of your code, like just basic text that's gonna show up on the website. That's where you write all of this. So all like the text that shows up on your screen right now is written in HTML basically. So when we click run, this text right here that says hello world, that's what's showing up right here inside this body tag. So if we go over to styles.css, that's where the styling is. And obviously there's no styling on this hello world. It looks very plain. It looks very sad, but this is where we would write any sort of styling like colors, fonts, anything like that we would add there. So now we're gonna go over to the assets folder. Everyone is caught up there. That's the Google Drive link I dropped in the chat. And we're gonna go over, click download, and then once you've done that, you're gonna go to upload folder right here. Click the three dots and click upload folder on your Replit. And then just like find the assets folder and upload it. So I guess I can go through that myself. So yeah, you'd basically just like drag and drop it. Or you might have to unzip. Yeah, you might have to unzip it first. You go over here, compressed folder tools, just click extract all, just type in assets or something. Just click extract all, click OK, and you'll be done. All right, and then you can drag that folder over here. Like that. And then once you have that, we'll rename it to assets. And then once you have, okay, assuming you did it properly, it should not look like that. But assuming you did it properly, it should look like a folder icon. So this is one where I actually did it properly. It should look like this. Like it's a folder with a bunch of items in it. So once you're there, this is the entire like code from the past 3 weeks. Oh, thank you, Maha. So, so did you separate the HTML from the?
Yeah, they're separated.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, so you see this file called index.html. You're gonna take all of that code from the link that Maha posted, the Google Docs link. You're gonna take all of that code and just paste it in here. Just like delete whatever was there before and paste all of this. And then once you do that, your website should look really bare. Like it just looks really boring because there's no styling. It looks kind of messed up probably. So let me just see what it would look like if we were to delete. Yeah, you don't need to type everything. So if we were to delete this, let's just see what would happen. If we ran this, it's gonna look really boring. It's just text. And if we scroll down, everything just looks really bad. So some things are really huge, some things are really small. Everything is just black and white. It's overall a really boring website. So to fix that, we're gonna go ahead and, you already have styles.css. I just deleted it for show. But now you're gonna go over to your Google Doc and you're gonna, the new Google Doc that Maha just posted, and paste in the styles.css code. So let me open that. You're gonna paste all of this into styles.css. Remember that they're two separate files. You have index.html, you have styles.css. So this one is styles.css. Control it. Wait, what happened? Wait, Maha, is yours working? I don't know what I did. It should work.
Yeah, it should be working. I think maybe Neha at the top of your index.html file.
Mhm.
It's like at the top.
Oh, yeah. I have to say like import styles of CSS or something.
No, you have that. It just looks like maybe the head part of the head element looks a little bit different. Do you think maybe you could also copy from this index.html file I sent and then see if that works?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. I think styles of CSS was not linked. I think that's probably the most obvious issue. But I don't know. Okay, so let's just try again. Okay, cool. We're back. So wait, where's the footer part? Wait,
Oh, I think it's missing.
oh yikes. I think there definitely was a footer in this. Let me try this code actually. Oh, I think you maybe just like forgot to copy the footer part of it. I think that's what happened. Yeah, maybe you just like forgot to copy the bottom part of it. So, okay. So if we go over here, sorry, put all the trial and error. Okay. What's this? Is it inside body? I don't know. Okay, there we go. If we paste all of this, then the footer should show. Oh no. That's so interesting. How is that possible?
Is it styles or styles on the href line 7?
So right. Typos. Okay, there we go. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now we're good to go, I think. So once we have the styles.css set up, everything's there, then we're good to go. So let's just paste this back in for good measure, just so that we can have everything consistent. Because I'm pretty sure the footer is not styled. Okay. Okay, now everything is fully styled. So let me just like, yeah, so just like copy it from this file, basically. And make sure that style or styles, like whatever you called your file, make sure that spelling is consistent. So yeah. Yeah, so make sure like when you're pasting it, make sure you paste each part into the right section. And then once you guys have pasted everything and your website looks like, once your website looks like this, then we can talk about what each part of the code does. And that should be like a good enough review of what we've done over the past 3 weeks so that we can continue on to today's content, which is gonna be building out each of these pages. So we're gonna start by building out the women's clothing page. So right now, these links don't really do anything. Like if you click on each of these, it's not gonna do anything right now. So we wanna work on building out each of these like pages, right? Like adding multiple pages to our website because we don't just want one page, that's kind of boring. So let me know when you guys are like done, like with all the pasting. Oh, you're having issues. Okay. 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 So if you guys are having issues with formatting, your issue might be the name of the file. So right here where it says link href here, make sure that this name matches with whatever your styles.c is. Whatever the title of this is should be the same as whatever is here. Like you should have the same word here as you do here. That might be part of the issue. Okay, so if everyone is on board with this, be sure to say like, I don't know, like I'm good or something. Like, like I'm done, or just say something. Yes, ready with a capital Y. You're extroverted. Um,
I guess we can go ahead and keep going then.
yeah, people are like direct messaging me their issues. Okay, okay, yeah. Which I mean that's not a problem, but I'm just yeah. So just like continuing on, now we can actually continue building out this like official like page that has all the women's clothing content on it. So as we can see here, basically there's like, yeah, so we're just gonna be mostly building like the body of this women's page, right? So like any web page, okay, let me explain the code from before actually. In the, actually hold on. Let me just like copy this. Or actually like after the lesson, maybe I should fix it. It's kind of taking a while. Okay. So just to like explain the code. So first we have this top part, right? It's this like head section. This head section is just like something that you need at the top of every like HTML file pretty much. First you have to start saying like doc type HTML. That just says like we have an HTML file. That's just like telling your computer we have an HTML file. Then we have this head section. This head section basically is like setup for your file, like which character set to use. UTF-8 is pretty standard. It's just like, I guess, English characters and numbers and things like that. And then I guess our website has like a title. So when we open this title when we open this in a new page, the title of that page is going to be a replit. And then we're going to import styles.css, which is our styling. And then moving on to the body section, we're going to start off with this header thing. So header is just like the top of your site. Header is going to be this very top like purple bar. And that's where like we put the title of our website. And then moving on, we have the horizontal navigation bar. That sounds really fancy. It's basically just all the links to the other sites. So homepage, go to the women's clothing page, jeans page, shoes, accessories, clearance, things like that. All these things are linked on the navigation bar, and these three icons are also included. These three icons don't actually work, but if you were like using a shopping website, they would be there, like a simple like shopping cart icon, an icon with your profile so you can go to your account, or like a search bar. Like all these things are basically just gonna be there. And then we have these two images right here. And these also link to like, so the women's one links to the women's clothing page, this one links to the men's clothing page. This is what we would call like the body of our code. So if we scroll down to where it says homepage content, about like line 44-ish, that's where it says like, this is the main content for our homepage. So that's going to be this middle section with the two like large images. And you might be seeing this thing called div a lot. A div is basically just like a container. So we're going to make a container or like a box called homepage content. And inside that box, we're going to be putting all the code for our homepage and inside of that box. So you might have seen that before too, right? Like with our header, we made this div called header, and that's where we put the title inside of it. Or we made a div for the navigation bar, and that's where our navigation bar was inside of. The div itself doesn't actually do anything. It's just kind of like an organizational tool, right? It's like maybe in your house, you just like put things in separate drawers and separate boxes just to keep them separate, just so that you can have some sort of organization. So you can think of it as like you put your homework in different folders, right? Like you might put your math homework in your math folder, science homework in your science folder. That's how I think of a div. It's just an organizational tool. And then moving on, we have the footer. Footer is just like the bottom of your website. So if we ignore these two images and we look below those two images, what we would see is these like 5 columns, I guess. So we have the first column, which is called runway. And then we have about us, help, follow, and then subscribe. So how we can see these 5 columns is like we have this, we can see that inside div class footer, inside the footer section, we have div class footer columns pasted 5 times, and Replit will actually highlight that for you. So if we highlight the first one, it will highlight for you 5 times because we have 5 columns. So that is how we created these 5 sections. And after the session, you guys can like feel free to play around with any of this. Anything inside like a H2 tag is just going to be like text that's a little bit bigger, text that's a bit more bold. You can just like put the text right here. And then anything that's in a P tag is just a regular paragraph. So like this. And you can just put your text inside of there. And then we have a class name. A class name just like allows us to distinguish something. So once we go into styles.css, let's say I want to style just the about us, just this part that says about us. Let's say I want to make only this purple, right? We can go into styles.css and we can go over to wherever that class name was, like footer text, I think it was. And we can give it all of these like different properties. So we could like say, give it like a color, like purple or something. And then that text would show up being purple. Well, I picked the wrong thing, but you know. So this part had the title, I guess, footer text, and we gave it a color purple, and that turned out to be purple. So that's how we can pick and choose different elements on our site and give them a certain style that we want. Okay, so make sure I didn't break anything. Okay, so once we are done with that, I think that's about it. And any A tag that you see is a link. So href, and then this, whatever's inside the quote is whatever link we're going to. A lot of these things are not really linked yet. They're not linked to anything, but there could be a link if you wanted there to be. Like, for example, like this Twitter icon could link to the Twitter website. And you could just like right in here inside these quotes, you could put the Twitter link. So that would be pretty easy to customize. Okay, and I think now we can start by working on the women's clothing page. So to start working on the women's clothing page, what we're going to do is we're going to click add file on Replit. So we're going to go over to our Replit. We're going to go to files. We're going to click add file. Once we click add file, we can give it a name like women's clothing.html. Always give it this extension at the end. You need to have this. Yeah, you might be using VS Code. You can follow along there as well. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. It's basically this platform where you can code like on your computer, like more locally. Like you don't need to be connected to the internet to use it. But yeah, we can give it a title, women's clothing.html, press enter, and you have a new file. It's going to be a blank file. Basically, all we're going to do is we're going to set up a we're going to copy all this code from header, nav bar, and footer. So what we can do, I might have forgotten to do this. Okay, so once we have this, you can set up a basic like header, nav bar, and footer. So I'll just walk you guys through how to do that. You can just like copy paste the code from whatever was there previously in index.html, just like copy all of that. So we're going to do Control A, Control C. And at the end, I'll paste this all into a document so you guys can reference it. So what we did right now is we pasted everything from index.html into women's clothing.html. And the reason we can do that is because a lot of the code is essentially the same. We're not going to be changing a lot of it. Like the website title is going to stay the same. This footer section at the bottom is going to stay the same. The nav bar is still going to be there. Like a lot of things are going to stay the same, except for this main content. That's the only thing that we're going to be changing. So as we scroll through this, let's start from the bottom, or from the top, sorry. Okay, starting from the top, basically what we have, again, we have the doc type HTML, we have this head section, we have body. Yeah, so we have this body section, and then inside the body section, let's try like closing it out. So if we close this body section, there's nothing below that. So everything is in the body. Okay, so right here, this nav bar part is actually going to stay exactly the same, because whenever you're on a website, when you go to different pages, the nav bar is still going to be there. It's still going to look exactly the same. Or the website title, it's going to look exactly the same. So we can ignore this. We can just click this arrow on line 16. Yeah, so women's clothing.html has the entire code. We can also use that. What was on there? I think that was the one, that's the one that you can cover actually, because that has all the, I think we can like show that at the end if anybody is like confused. So we have this nav bar part, we can close that out because it's exactly the same. We have this homepage content, which we're gonna rename, and actually take this out because we're gonna change all of this. And then we have this footer section, which is again, it's gonna stay exactly the same. So that's basically the layout of what our women's clothing page is gonna look like. And so basically Maha is now gonna walk you through how to change this part, this homepage content part. Because once you're on the women's clothing page, we're gonna want the website to look different. Because right now, when we click on the women's clothing page, it looks exactly the same as the homepage, and we don't want that. So we want to change this code right here, essentially, this entire section called homepage content. So Maha's gonna walk you through that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neha. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, great. So now what we have is we have the header. We basically have the same page as the index.html, but now all we want to change is the body of the page, like Neha said. So in your women's clothing.html, we have the header, and so that's going to stay the same. And then starting from line 19, we're going to change the code. So, oh wait, sorry. Okay. There we go. I had the same header twice, so I just needed to fix that. So we have our header, and then we have the actual header and the nav bar. And starting from the closing div of the nav bar, which should be around like line 42 or so, we're going to go ahead and change the body text. So in your index.html, the body starts with a comment that says, this is the main content for the home page. And so starting from that line, until the line before the comment for the footer. We're gonna go ahead and delete that that code. So from main content of the homepage to just before the footer comment, we'll delete that body code. Okay. And then going to the Google Docs that I sent in the chat. So going to the Google Docs that I sent in the chat. So this includes all of the code. So it has the header and the footer as well as the body. So if you want to just copy this entire thing, you can. But if you're just copying the body section, then we'll start with where the comment is for the outer container for clothing items. And so we'll copy this. And there is a decent amount of code until that comment again where it talks about the footer. So we'll copy and paste this in between the header and footer for the women's clothing page. Oh. Yeah. So I already have it copied here. But yeah. Okay, cool. So now when you save your code and then you open it up, it should look something like this. So it still has the nav bar at the top, and it's all styled. And then we also have the footer at the bottom, but the actual content of the page is very different. And so as you can see right now, it's not styled at all, but we have like the images, the prices, and the names. And so this is kind of what it should be looking like. And so you've kind of seen all of these elements before, and we're just reusing them over and over to create all of the different women's clothing items. So we start with a div for one specific item, and we call it, we have a specific class for it. And so like we've been saying, in the past few workshops, we use these classes to style them. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the styles.css section. So we have a div for the item, and then we have an image, and the source of the image is like the, oh, excuse me, is like the picture for the product. And then we have the name, the price. And so these are in headings H2 and H3. So H1 is bigger, and then it goes from H1 until H6. So as you keep increasing the number, it becomes a smaller heading. And then you have a button for adding it to your cart, and then we close the div. And so we repeat that a good number of times for each of our different products, and we make sure to change like the source and the text in between, but pretty much the elements themselves and their classes and everything stay the same. So yeah, and that's all for the body of the women's clothing HTML file. Neha, do you want to continue with the styles.css?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, actually, wait, can you like continue with it?
Okay, yeah, sure. I can continue with that. Okay, so right now in styles.css, we have all of the code for those previous, like nav bar, the header, the body of the index.html, and also the footer. So now we're going to add some CSS to style the women's clothing page. And so something to note, like before we go ahead and start styling, is that we have like different HTML files. But when it comes to using the styles.css, you can have more than one style page, but it's not necessary. So typically we just use the same CSS file, and we just include it in all of the different files. So in your women's clothing.html, you're using the same CSS file that we're using for the index.html file. And this is because the CSS, it's just used as like, it's just being included and used as a style. And the way that it's set up is it's specific to each kind of class or element. And so you have different classes, different class names for all of your different HTML files. And so you don't have to worry about it overlapping or not working out unless you use the same name. And so that's why we can have one style file and then we have to have multiple HTML files. So we're just going to go to the bottom of our styles.css file. And then going to the CSS, we will, I'll share this link in the chat right now. Oh, okay, it looks like Edward's already gotten it. Awesome. So we'll just copy this text to the end of the CSS file. So now we have the CSS for that women's clothing page. And so yeah. So we can see we have our different classes and the different like attributes that describe them. So for our main container, which is our biggest div for this page, we have a few different like attributes. And then we also have it for our specific C containers. And then we're changing the font family and the font size for our elements on that women's clothing page. And then a.anchor. So this is something that maybe we haven't seen before. Typically, a lot of the elements in our CSS file right now have a dot and then a class name. So this is a specific type of way to identify what the CSS elements are going to be styling. And so we mentioned this way back in workshop 1, so it's been a while. But basically the way that you can style different elements in CSS is using dot and class name. You can also use an ID. You can use the attribute. So you would just put like H1 and then open up a bracket and include some stylings. So here specifically a.anchor allows you to style A elements or the link elements that have the class of anchor. So that's like a combination of styling an element and a class. So that way you can be really specific to exactly what you want to style. And so we have that for a few different things. And then similarly, this is like a similar way to style more than one thing. But what's different about this way, so if you can see here, for line 245, we have an element and a class, but they're in a different order. So this time, they're actually not connected to each other. So with this specific like CSS styling, we're styling elements that have a C-grid-item class, and then we're also styling H3 elements. So that's how you're able to style like multiple types of elements and class and elements with a specific class, even if they don't overlap. And then most of these like CSS attributes, some of them are really intuitive to understand what it means, like background color or like the font family. And some of them are not as easy to understand, like maybe like display or like the justifying content, and then it says space between. So it's kind of hard to understand what all of those mean. So something that you can do to kind of look up these different like elements and exactly like how you're styling them and stuff is to go to this, is to just look it up honestly. So there's a specific website that I like to use when I'm looking up these different elements. So I'll go ahead and just type up the element that I want to look up and then type CSS. And then the website is W3 Schools. So this is a really good website that you can use to look up exactly what different things mean and really get a like more broad like kind of range of like CSS elements that you can use. So specifically, the element that I wanted to look at is the justified content. That's what I looked up. And then the attribute or like the value of that was going to be space dash between. So we're looking at justified content with the value of space dash between. And so that means that items will have space like between them. And so that kind of gives you like a definition of what that means. And on this website, they have a lot of different CSS elements. As you can see, they're all listed here. And then when you click on them, you can look at what those mean and kind of understand what it's exactly saying in your code. Yeah, so that's styles.css. So then once we open our women's clothing page now, it should look pretty different. So now everything is styled and you can see like it's a lot nicer to scroll through. You can see like the pictures, they're all the same size. They have this specific way of writing the name of the item, the price, and then the add to cart button. It has a little bit of something that's a little bit out of the scope of this workshop series, but just some like animation to it that helps change its color. So yeah, that should be what your page looks like now. So you have the same nav bar, you have the content, and then you have the same footer that you have at the bottom. Cool. Well, I think that wraps up everything we had to talk about at today's workshop. Neha, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, some people have questions. Can you go to your like nav bar section on the homepage?
Okay.
I want to show them something. Oh, on the code.
Oh, on the code.
Index.html, yeah. And then go to the nav bar part of it. Yeah. So in case your links are not working, this is something that we forgot to cover, but basically if you go inside the nav bar container section, and then you go into the class nav bar, you can see that we have these like 5 or 6 like LI things. Those are just like list items. So each of these is a link to a page. So the first one says link to index.html. So when you click home, it's just gonna circle back to that same page again. And then the second one, I'll paste it in the chat, should be this. You don't really need the other ones. Those are just kind of optional. But definitely have the women's clothing page there so that when you click on the women's like tab in your nav bar, it should link you to that women's page. So Maha, you can go ahead and like demonstrate that. Yeah, so when you go over to your nav bar and you click women, it should link you to the women's page. So make sure that you have this link or like this list item, LI, just have this whole thing inside your nav bar. So you should have nav and then UL and then like 2 list items. So yeah, make sure that you have that.
Are there any more questions before we wrap up?
It's showing large icons. That's interesting. So when you say large icons, is it like, is the whole, yeah, I think people are having trouble linking their styles.css to their like HTML file. That's why some things are kind of wacky. But I think the best way to fix this, I think afterward in the, like when we post the YouTube recording, we'll just like have the completed code there. So
Yeah.
if you had any issues, we'll just like make sure to have the completed code, all the Google document links, just pasted there. You can just copy paste the code from there. But if you have any questions about like understanding things, you can let us know now.
Yeah.
The list item thing, the link doesn't work.
So something to know is like the spelling for the links
Yeah.
is really important. So right now I have, the women's clothing.html, and it sometimes like it seems intuitive to spell, but we're all human, so we all like, press the wrong button and spell things maybe differently. So make sure you have the right spelling for the link. So within the A element, the href attribute, like the link, and then also it should be the same as whatever your HTML file is. So like if I were to have, if I like my women's clothing HTML, if I just named it random.html and I want the word women to link to that, then instead of having an href attribute called women's clothing, I need to have it named random.html. And so then that's going to link it to that specific file. So when I go back to my code, if I click women, it's going to take me to that file. And it's the same file because I didn't change the code, but it's taking me to random.html. So
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, if you guys don't understand something, maybe something in the code looks like interesting, I don't know, just like let us know. Because there is a lot of like content in this that we can definitely go over, elaborate on. But if some part of your code is not working, we'll just like paste in like Google document links in the YouTube video descriptions, and you guys can just like copy paste the code from there, and that should work. But yeah, thank you guys for attending. We do have like one more session after this. We're basically just gonna like build a vertical navigation bar, I think. It's gonna be pretty cool. So right now we have like a horizontal navigation bar. We're gonna learn how to make that like vertical so that the items appear like top to bottom. And then we can also just like work on building like more pages on your website. Like you could add a page for jeans, a page for men's clothing, other things like that. But yeah, after that, it's just kind of like wrapping up the website. You guys are free to like, learn more on your own once we finish up like the 5th week of the lesson. Like, please keep learning. Yeah, and if anything didn't work for you while we were like explaining code, like don't be discouraged because like sometimes it can, be hard to get things to work exactly how you want them to work. But yeah, just like keep trying. Try learning from different sources, read lots of stuff, and if you're interested, it will come to you.
Okay, we want to thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to give a special thank you to our presenters at SWE for this amazing 5-week program series. And like they stated, we have one more week. We appreciate you being here, and I'd like to share a few resources with you as we wrap today. First of all, our STEAM kits. For more hands-on STEAM activities, Plano Public Library offers STEAM kits for all ages. STEAM kits include learning components for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math to support STEAM-based learning. Our STEAM kits focus on technology and problem solving, and you can check out kits like the Teen Kano Computer Kit, the Teen Little Bits, the Arduino Kit, and Teen Raspberry Pi 3 Kit, as well as the Sphero. To see more STEAM kits, check out the Plano Public Library catalog. Then we have our 3D printing services at Davis, Harrington, and Parr Libraries. You can use 3D design software programs like Tinkercad to design your own 3D model. You submit your design as a .stl file on a USB flash drive and let Plano Public Library print your creation. And for more information on how to submit your 3D design, pricing, and 3D printing classes, check out the Plano Public Library website. And then finally, our LinkedIn Learning. Your Plano Public Library card grants you access to thousands of courses on LinkedIn Learning. You can expand your website development skills by checking out courses on website design and development. Access LinkedIn Learning on the Plano Public Library website under Research and Learn. It should be noted that Frisco residents do not have access to this service. Be sure to stay up to date with Plano Public Library by following our Facebook page and checking out our blog at planolibrarylearns.org. There you can find recordings of past programs and other materials about how to take advantage of everything Plano Public Library has to offer. Please complete our program survey, which should pop up following this program. We do value your feedback.